Okay. Hey, YouTube. Can you see me now? Hold on. Okay. Wait. I'm getting comfortable. Can you hear me and see me? You guys could see me before. I couldn't see you. Let me know. Hold on. Sorry. I'm fixing hold on. Okay. Can you see me better? Okay. All right. Hello, hello. I think I need better lighting. Let's see. Hold on. Listen, the mother freaking grays are out of control, y'all. And they won't let me put my pin because they don't want you to see the image that I was going to show you. Can someone tell me if my pin came in? Not my face. It should be of that woman cosplaying as a gray. You can hear me okay? See me okay? Okay. I'm just getting myself together. They got me unraveled. They out of control. My shirt is rolling. It's in there? Oracle? The one with the begonia? Oracle? It's there? Yes. Yes. Can't stop, won't stop. These mother freaking bastards. I'm just disgusted. Because I'm going to talk about how nasty you made a movie to get Andromedans sick, you nasty bastards. It's a rant video. Sponsored by an Andromedan. So I'll wait until you check in. I'm just pissed off, y'all. That pissed me off. That took a while. And again, hold on, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm trying to fix. Okay. All right. I'm trying to get all comfortable. I'm sorry. I mean to put my boobies in your face. That wasn't intentional. I'm trying to fix the back of it. So we're going to discuss today the mother freaking grays. They're out of control and how they're trying to cosplay and trying to trying to co-opt the Andromedans so that people think the Andromedans look like a mother freaking gray. Check on in, y'all. It's a rant today. Big up to the Zombies. We're on Zoom all weekend long. I know it is a snowy dream. I would show you outside. It's so beautiful outside. Maybe I'll take you outside with me in a minute. The weather outside is frightful, but a sure thing's delightful. And there ain't no place to go. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Everyone's surviving the storm. It's a geoengineered storm. And big up to Daryl from our group who told us it's basically an X-ray storm. The snow is maybe used to look and see where people are hiding underneath the ground. That was a whole nother conversation, right? We're not going to discuss it now, though. We'll discuss that later. Check on in. The weather outside is frightful. I'm going to calm down, y'all. I'm here. I came back. Can't stop, won't stop, right? So I'm coffee free just for a couple days. Yeah. I'm on decaf. So, and I actually have tea. You guys rarely see me with tea. I have some tea. So cute. My girls bought me this cup. Isn't that adorable? Okay. Now, let me give an FYI. If you come to the channel, I know some of you come from other channels from certain other people. You do know I'm a contactee of aliens, right? Of interdimensional, extraterrestrial, and inner Earth kind of beings, right? I just want to make sure because some of you come to me and I know I look somewhat normal some days. But I've been about this life for a long time, and I think sometimes you come here thinking that this isn't, one of the channels from, those cosplaying channels that play like they play with aliens and they're doing, light language that they just learned on YouTube or ChatGPT, or they're, basically using YouTube as a way to, make and pay their bills. I've been about this life for a long time. Please do not mistake me for the others. Okay, this is a UFO. This is a UFO district you're in. Okay, you are in my sector. So when you come to my channel, even though I have a beautiful rod, which many of you love, okay, though you see maybe others come to my channel, you best believe you're coming to the UFO sector. Even though the UFO sector doesn't acknowledge brown people who are extraterrestrials because they are all co-opted by the CIA and FBI and ran by the Deros, who are basically taking on the ideology and co-opting it so they can make you think aliens look away that they don't. But I'm here to share with you that that isn't the case, okay? These motherfuckers made a movie and they are out of control. And they stepped on the wrong set of toes. Okay. So I'm here for it. Hello, everybody. Greetings, greetings. I'm going to try to behave myself for now. Okay. But this is a rant video because I'm really disgusted. And I want to let those nasty, disgusting, gray, slimy looking Deros know that can't stop, won't stop. And you are violating Ethijeon rules and regulations. Okay. I stay in my sector, you stay in yours. We're going to talk about the movie Begonia. And for those who are Andromedans, who are seeded from the Andromedan bloodline, please be careful watching that movie. They have a booby trap on the movie to attack our adrenals when we watch it. So myself, while watching the movie, was attacked by a frequency that was intended to make Andromedans and those connected to the Andromedans feel very uncomfortable while watching it. So you may have felt very sick. They're showing commercials. They're out of mother freaking control. Just ignore them. We can't listen. They're haters and they're very nasty beings. They have sex with children. They eat babies. They harvest foreskins. They go and blow up countries and act like they're the people. They usually take on other people's, identities. They're cosplaying roaches. Understand that they're losers. Losers. Okay. So I have a rant. And I don't appreciate them attacking my sea stars by making a movie, trying to co-opt who we are and trying to take it on so that others don't know. And you're attacking us. So touche. Okay. Check on in. I'm waiting until 500 so I can go on my full-on rant. I hope everybody's okay. I've been indoors for a little while, and I am a tropical flower of the tropics, and being indoors for me is very tough. So I have a lot of energy built up and some angst towards these diabolical ones. Imposters, right? Imposters. Kamic. I like your name. You're absolutely right. They do this all the time, y'all. They cosplay as Native Americans, right? Now these people are doing tests like, oh my God, I thought I was a Native American. No, you motherfucking, no, you didn't. You didn't think you were a Native American. You wanted to be that. If you don't look like me, you're not from the Americas. Let me state this again. If you don't look like me generally, complexion-wise, hair-wise, features, we have variations of features. You aren't indigenous to the Americas. Don't have me come and bring up the receipts of the imagery that the fake sellout more mother freaking what do you call it? Deros of mass destruction who came over here, dark skin, who came over here in the images that they saw. They saw me and my women. Okay. That's why they said the women were absolutely impeccable. And we weren't wearing clothing because we weren't colonized yet. So stop talking about my boobies. We don't wear clothing where I come from. You may wear it because you're under the Jesus mind control program that you're covering yourself. When you live in a natural terrain, you don't have to cover your skin. You're naturally from that environment. So don't listen to these $5 non-Indians telling you that you are a African from Africa. Big up to our African diaspora. No shade. Okay. I am over 60% indigenous from the Americas. If you don't look like me, you're not from the Americas. Stop it. You don't want to come over here because your grandmother. And then there was another. I'm ranting today, y'all, until we get to 500, because I'm tired of the cosplaying. There was this woman who came on, looked nothing like a Native American, was saying, "Oh my God, you guys are disgusting for taking on." You didn't even know where my people were and who we were. If you were from here, your grandmother would have already known my people, because we went back and forth. We interfaced in the Americas, whether it was South, Central, or North. If you come on here and you don't see me as Native and you call me out as not being indigenous, it's because your people are not from here. It's no shade. You could be a visitor, but Darren Skippy, don't take on somebody else's genre when you're not that. Okay? Dark hair, dark eyes, and dark skin is an indigenous quality of all the Americas. There was no fair-skinned people over here. That only happened post-colonization. And some people mix with the grays, like Candace Gray Owens. I actually think Candace is a full gray, but I'm a little upset today, y'all. Just forgive me for any rant if you feel insulted. I'm not intending it on you. I'm a little frustrated because the movie pissed me off and they attacked me with that movie with a frequency weapon. Okay. So $5 Indian, stay in your lane. Okay. You can pretend, go cosplay like the men who pretend they're women. Go cosplay over there, but don't come and step to the original. Listen, I'm 100% organic. Don't step over here. You don't want to get your feelings hurt. Okay. And if you're a man, don't step to me, because I have a man who can deal with you. It's not appropriate for you to talk to me as a woman. If you got any issue with me, I could bring a man to you for you to talk to. And you talk to him. Okay? I'm a woman. So if you have any issues with me as a man, I got a man who you can speak to on my behalf. Okay? Check on in, y'all. Salud. Come on in. I'm really pissed off today. Okay? Right. Right. Oh, I'm at 500. Welcome. Peace to the east, west, north, and the south. This is FleurBrun coming to you today with another topic of discussion. So check on in. So everyone, as you know, there was a movie called Begonia, and thank you to all those who kind of let me know that this movie existed. It took me a while to figure it out, because I think what I didn't realize is that what many were telling me is that there was a representation of the Andromedans, which I didn't know. So, as soon as someone told me that there was a representation of the Andromedans, I had a ding, ding, ding moment, but I didn't have a natural propensity to go and watch the movies, which let me know that there's most likely some insidious, false narratives and basically either whitewashing or graywashing. I shouldn't say whitewashing, more graywashing of information to disarm those who are connected to the Andromedans, and also to mislead those who feel like they know what an Andromedan is. Okay, so we're going to talk about the movie Begonia, and I'm not going to go too far and deep on the movie. I'm just going to talk about how it interrelates with them constantly co-opting some of the extraterrestrials or interdimensionals and trying to take over the narrative to give you a visual look of something that doesn't exist, so that you don't know what does exist. Let me remind you, if you're not from the UFO community, even though they don't claim me because they're all ran by CIA, FBI, and the Deros, who have co-opted the UFO community so that they can create a narrative to mislead people into who and what is here. I've been a part of this community for a long, long time. Okay, so I'm not someone new on the block who came in 2020 was trying to get a come up. Okay, I have a great body of work that you've seen online. Some really amusing. Some of you have been with me for a while. We've had a lot of fun, right? disclosing, agents of mass destruction following me around, taking pictures, taking notes, also other interdimensionals and alien contactees who have had some level of contact, so that we kind of interface a little bit. But generally what you'll notice on this channel is that why you won't see invitations coming from that sector of UFOs, even though you're here and you feel like, oh, she's a woman of color. I didn't know that women of color are contactees. Absolutely. So if you didn't know, now you know. Okay, so this is my sector. So if you're coming here and you didn't know that, because you may be coming maybe from Brother Rich's channel and you may have seen me, I am a contactee. I've been known for that for a long time. I'm not new on the block. I've been on YouTube since 2011, and I've been interviewed on multiple channels since before then. So I've been a part of the UFO community for over 30 years. Okay. And if you say, oh, FleurBrun, you're lying because you don't look like you've been any part of anything for 30 years. Extraterrestrials don't age. You know who ages? Grays and hybrids and mud flood people. Let me state this again. I don't have to put Botox or hybridized genealogy in my body, because true beings that are zested by interterrestrials and extraterrestrials are non-aging. The people who age like bad rice the next day are grays, mud flood, and cabbage patch people. Agelessness has to do with your being beyond this particular realm. So if you want to know who has a lot of so-called extraterrestrial or hybridization of those beings, they're ageless. They don't have to do Botox. They don't have to get 50 million creams. They don't have to stick, in their bodies to do anything. I am shaped the way I'm supposed to. I'm 1000% organic. So please refrain from comparing me to other people that are cosplayers or are in here or in this YouTube sector, because it's a come up for them. Okay. I'm about this life. You can look at my archives of madness, of mass destruction of years of talking about that. So part of being an extraterrestrial or being seeded by them, you can tell, is because they're ageless. Okay. They don't age the same. They don't get grays in their hair like everyone else. They don't get wrinkles in their face. They don't start sagging off the chain. Okay. So that is a part of those. So if someone tells you that they're seeded by the extraterrestrials or they're part of the extraterrestrials, it will show. Okay. And if they're too busy trying to promote themselves as that and trying to, put that air out, you're going to see a body of work that passes it, that covers that. Okay. I'm giving you a little promo because I'm really disgusted about the movie Bugonia. Okay. So let's go on about the movie Bugonia. That's enough about who I am. Some people come to me and I think you're coming from other channels. So I think you don't know that I'm literally connected to the Andromedans, and that's the sector that you're in. So when you come to my house, expect that you're going to see a brown woman that talks about sometimes regular things, but a lot of times connected to interdimensional information, extraterrestrial, exopolitics, or metaphysical, what have you. So I don't want you to be shocked, because sometimes you come here like, oh, she looks like a normal woman that worships Jesus Christ and goes to church. That absolutely not. So I'm just putting that out there. So if you feel like you need to connect to a brown woman that does those things, I'm not the channel to you. And I'm happy to have you unsubscribe from me. So you don't have to be exposed to someone like me talking what you perceive as madness. Okay. Because in many different other sectors of the world, when brown people speak about this, especially in the Americas, they're labeled as mentally ill. I'm drug-free, alcohol-free, tattoo-free, organic, and I'm thick. I didn't shoot up any, what's the thing you shoot in your body? I haven't shot up any, what is it called? I forgot. Winago? Whatever it's called. I haven't shot it up. Okay. When I start looking gray, shoot myself up with all kinds of drugs and mass destruction, then you could just say, oh, she's probably been taken over. Okay. All right, so let's talk about the movie Ozempic. Thank you, Ozempic. Everybody's like on Ozempic. Do you know that is lizard? That has lizard adrenals in it. You're shooting yourself up with reptilian DNA. That's how you know some people are really off, right? You're shooting yourself with, what did you think was in the vaccine of mass destruction? The Kukarachi shot. It was reptilian DNA, was serpent DNA, cobra venom. You're shooting yourself up with venom from a lizard. That's why your body, that's why it paralyzes your stomach. Anyway, I'm digressing. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And I don't want to lose weight. Leave me alone. I'm made for the girthier males, not you. So if you have a problem with my thickness and it bothers you, I'm not made for you. I'm made for my own men, for my own tribe. So don't worry about that. Don't worry about my thickness because you're not built for me. I was built for them. Just FYI. Anyway, let's go. So I watched the movie Begonia, right? And at the beginning of watching the movie, I got really, really like low vibrational. Just really not. I didn't feel well. I felt like something was wrong with watching the movie. Almost depressed. And it was at the beginning of the movie. Now, mind you, the movie itself is very, it's very low vibrational. It's kind of like if you ever watched the movie, and I've mentioned this before, Under the Skin with what's her name? Johansson. What's her name? Uh, what's her name? What's her name? Charlotte. Scarlett. Scarlett. It's a really good movie, but it's dark. So when you watch the beginning of this movie, Scarlett Johansson, right? Yeah. Scarlett. I like her name actually, Scarlett, because it matches her, right? She's from the Deros. She's really pretty though. Anyway, Deros mix. They tend to mix with prettier people because they look like, Skeksis and elephantitis of the nose people. And we found out that they're. Let me stop. Okay, let me. It's a very dark movie if you watch Under the Skin. It was a good movie because a lot of times when you first came to me, some of you came to me many years ago, and I needed to reference a movie that mentioned what is underneath some of the costumes and the uniforms of some of the beings coming in here. And that's a good depiction of a movie because you see Scarlett Johansson going around, honeypotting men because it's very easy, and then she would take them into a cloaked spaceship that looked like a building, right? And walk them in, get bucket naked, because that's all it takes to honeypot some of these lower vibrational males, and walk in, and the men would just sink into the floor, which was like petrified plasma that kind of liquefied as she triggered it, as she walked forward. And they would end up getting, like stuck in this kind of like gelatinous kind of plasma, and eventually lose so much weight that their skin was able to be sucked off of them, and they would be, the bones and everything would be taken off, but they would save the skins. And that's what they were wearing to cosplay as humans while they were going around collecting more skins. And I want to liken that to what happened in Peru with, you do know what happened in Peru when they were ripping the skins off of the Peruvian people. I actually think like Kim Kardashian, all these celebrities that faces are looking so different right now. I actually think, this is my opinion, I could be wrong, but I think a lot of times when you see like Kim Kardashian's mother and her face looks totally snatched now, and she was looking like Jeepers Creepers like two years ago, I actually think they are stealing the skins off of the Peruvian, the face peelers. They're stealing the skins off of those young, beautiful Peruvian people, and they're putting it on themselves, and that's their form of cosmetic surgery. Okay, I actually think the Deros contract this. You know it's true because where the Deros are in the Middle East, the name that we can't say, they have a country where they steal the skins of their neighbors. But they're stealing the organs and the skins off the neighbors. They have the biggest skin factory there is. So what are they doing with the skins? They're obviously using it to graft, probably using it to cosplay other people and other nationalities. Okay, so like that, Begonia to me has a little bit of that residue, the movie. Now, what you start to see when you start the beginning of that movie is the letters are placed in like a block formation, and they have a certain look to them. What happened with me, and I feel like some of the Andromedan sea stars may have had this happen to them, is that there was a triggering effect, like that was almost created to cause an effect on those of us who were seeded from the Andromedans. I had a really weird reaction to it. Felt very low vibrational. I kind of pushed through it because I knew there was a lot of gems that were in this movie because it was highly recommended by Zombies and many of you. Okay, so I made it through the movie. And as I'm watching the movie, I'm seeing a lunar woman who's looks very gray like. She looks like a gray herself. Okay, she has very bulbous eyes, very thin skin, very bell shaped face. I saw her and I thought to myself, she looks very gray like. And it's a good. What's the actual actress's name? Does someone know the actress's name who played that role? Does anyone know the actress's name? I want to see if you know her name. Emma Stone. Okay, Emma Stone. Okay. She looked very pale, just very, they show her at the beginning, doing a lot of workouts, living in a very beautiful house. And she was head of a company. It was like a semi-tech company that had some linkage to maybe forms of neural linking or neuroscience connected to it. If I'm not mistaken, anybody who watched it, you can correct me on that. So you see this woman in the movie. Now, if you've not watched the movie Begonia, this is going to kind of blow the, this is a spoiler. So it's a spoiler. If you want to watch it, I definitely don't think you should listen to me now. Maybe watch it first. Now, if you're Andromedan, you feel connected to the Andromedans, you're going to be affected by it. I actually think they put a frequency on it to deter us from watching so that we wouldn't continue to watch the movie, so we couldn't dispel. That's why when I first made this video, you saw that they blocked me out and I couldn't see anything. That's not by chance. It means that they were trying and intended to block me out so you couldn't see, so I would have a problem making the video, okay? Okay. So for that reason, the film is currently on Peacock. Is that where it's playing? I don't know where I watched it. I know. I think I watched it on. What do you call it? What do you call it? Prime. I think I watched it on Prime, if I'm not mistaken. So if you want to be able to watch it, definitely watch it on Prime. Okay. So that being said. Okay. So you see this woman, she's playing this character, and she just looks like a regular CEO, like a top-end CEO, very, very well taken care of. Looks like she's in a position. She was filming at the beginning. But again, when I noticed at the beginning with the letters and that kind of weird sigil kind of shape, it kind of messed with my synapses a little bit, made me feel a little like disoriented, a little off. Okay, hold on now. Okay. So anyway, I was saying about the spoiler. Hold on. I'm just reading the comments. Okay. Okay. All right. So for anyone who doesn't want to hear the spoiler, walk out so you don't hear it. Begonia is the name of the movie. I think Oracle just put the name in there. So if you haven't seen it, kind of step away from the video and then I'll talk about it a little bit more. Then you can come back to the video with the understanding of what I'm talking about. Okay. So as we're beginning the video, you see this woman, she's in it, and then they actually pan out and you see a gentleman, looks very what you would perceive in society, in American society, is like being what they perceive to be like very poor, what people would call poor white trash. That's the kind of element that they kind of pulled in with this gentleman who was in there. I'm just saying I'm giving a judgment based on what people would normally see when they see this gentleman who's talking about, getting prepared for interfacing with the Andromedans. He has to find them because they're taking over the planet. They're doing harm to humanity. And you see him kind of in this way that was very low vibrational. He was living a very troubled life. A very troubled life. He was living with a special needs young man in his house, which I think was his cousin. It was quite sad. Like, if you were able to watch it, it was quite disturbing to watch the dynamics between someone who was barely cognitively functional and living with someone who was on the tier of obviously some forms. Oh, was his cousin? Yeah. Maybe on the tier of, on the spectrum of, I would think maybe autism or maybe more advanced forms of, I don't know if they used the terminology back in the days. It was like a mild form of retardation. It doesn't mean, that's not a derogatory term. I'm just using a term that's usually associated with people of that same kind of mental status. So he's living with his cousin. They have a bee farm, which I think is very interesting because if you ever watch the movie with what was it? Jupiter Ascending. Jupiter Ascending was a great movie, which really kind of highlighted the bees. And bees have to be denoted. Hold on. Okay. Hold on, y'all. Just give me like 2 minutes. I'm just going to read the comments while I'm waiting. Okay. Okay. All right. So I'll just continue. So in the movie you saw, sorry, I just had to take a break for a little bit. So in the movie you saw this kind of dynamic where you saw this young man, kind of like maybe in his early 30s, or maybe late 20s, and he was living with a cousin that was had some form of depreciative cognitive, mindset. And what you'll notice is that when you're watching the movie, I don't know how you felt, but I felt some sort of weird kind of vibrational frequency, like a sub frequency that was playing that made it very dark, made you feel almost depressed. Watching it maybe didn't help, but in the movie, they were beekeepers, which I found was very interesting because, in my mind, I was thinking he was noticing that the bees were acting differently, and that he attributed their dying off, the colony of the bees dying off, to the Andromedans doing something to the environment, making it very difficult for the bees to coexist. So at the beginning, you'll notice that he talks about the beehive and how the bees are abandoning the queen, and that they do that sometimes if something environmentally is off. But he denoted it as being connected to the Andromedans who were doing so. Now, what's interesting in the movie is that when you're watching the movie, he's constantly talking about the Andromedans as if they're negative, talking as if he has to basically take the reins to be able to approach the Andromedans and get them to bring them to their home planet, so that he can speak to their emperor and be able to lobby on the humans' behalf. He really feels, and in the movie, you actually feel like he's mentally ill. They almost like make people who are contactees or feel like they're They know about aliens. They make you feel as if these people are mentally ill, like they're not well. Okay. So as you're watching in the movie, the young lady's living her life. She's a high-end CEO. She's unaware of what's happening with this man who's actually working at the same company. And what I noticed is that when you look at the logo of the company, it was two triangles, if I'm not mistaken, two triangles face down. So two triangles, like one, if I'm not mistaken, can you guys remember that? One triangle like this and another right under it. And I forgot the insignia underneath. I found that interesting. I don't know how that interconnects with anything, but I did denote that because I didn't know that he and her worked at the same company, her in the higher end and him on the lower end, just more in a sub role for the company in the mailroom, if I'm not mistaken, right? Very interesting that normally when we see references to especially Masons or the Brotherhood, they'll generally have one triangle up and one facing upside down upward, but this one was two facing down. Okay. So as we go a little further, we see the gentleman, they're preparing, the young male is preparing with his cousin. And in order for them to prepare and not be co-opted by the so-called Andromedans, he said that they had to chemically castrate themselves. Do you guys remember that? They had to chemically castrate themselves. Now, why does that matter? Is because for some people, they don't know that one thing with the Andromedans, in order to make sure that males are not going to do harm to their sea stars or to their sisters, is they generally will chemically castrate males who are in close proximity of them, knowing that males have the lack of capacity to have higher minded forms of interface without being really affected by women's pheromones or in close proximity of females. So what they did is make sure that the two gentlemen in the movies, the gentleman who was the older cousin and the one, he was convincing his younger cousin to chemically castrate himself so that he wouldn't be under the mind control of the Andromedans. Now, if some of you understand what this means, if you watch my videos over the years, you understand and understand many of the times that men came in contact with the Andromedans, they would say that it was hard for them to resist them. The Andromedans had a kind of like what you perceive, maybe some of the mermaids or the sirens, having the ability to to influence a male's mind, where a male had a hard time fighting off his yearning for an Andromedan. That's one of their, I don't say it's a superpower, it's a byproduct of who they are and what they emit. And most males have a hard time resisting that. So it was interesting that this male, though he may have seemed crazy, for those of us who know and are connected to the Andromedans, that was the first ding, 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 that whoever wrote this movie, whoever is directing it, knows very well who the Andromedans are. Even though they're depicting it as someone who is not an Andromedan, they know the propensities and they know what being in close proximity from a male to an Andromedan, how it would affect the males, because they brought up the point of chemically castrating them in the movie. So the older cousin, who has just a higher set of conscious awareness, had convinced his younger, mentally, cognitively challenged cousin to chemically castrate himself, and he attempted to give him a shot and take away his yearning so that he wouldn't be under the mind control of the Andromedans. Okay, so just fast forward during the movie, and what I know is that during the movie I had bouts of nauseousness, feelings like I didn't want to continue the movie. And again, this is where I'm saying there was some sort of subliminal pulse frequency that was rolling during the movie that was purposefully intended, which I know was for anyone who's connected to the Andromedans, because it highly, highly affected me. And I watch a lot of movies, y'all. I'm about that life, especially movies that are, regarding, movies that have to do with aliens, subterranean aliens, galactics, space movies. I'm all for it. Okay. Based on what I'm involved with. So, Someone take care of your boys. Yeah, you got to be very careful with the Andromedans. I think I've talked about that many times. It's rarely that they care to entice men because remember, the Andromedans, they don't interface with men. So their intention is not to mate or try to co-opt a man's mind to take him over to sexually take advantage of him. That's not what it is. It's just men in close proximity of them have a hard time controlling themselves because it's almost like their frequency has a hyper pheromonic frequency that affects males more so than anyone else. It can affect females as well, but it can definitely affect males. Okay. So they mentioned the chemical castration. That's how I knew. Whoever directed the movies knows very well who they're talking about. Okay. So fast forward into this man wants to kidnap a specific person. You don't know who it is immediately. And then all of a sudden you see towards the end, he kidnaps the woman, the CEO, the one that was, the main character in the movie, kidnaps her. And the first thing he does is shave off her hair. And what's interesting about that, many of you understand and understand this topic, is that hair, what is hair to people? What does hair represent? You already know this, but what does hair represent? What does it do? What's the technology that has to do with hair? Very good. Abbott already said antenna. Divine said it's an antenna. So the first thing they did was cut off her hair because the gentleman said, you got to cut off her hair because that's an antenna. That's how she can contact people on her home planet, on the ship. Okay. So the first thing they did was shave off her head. And then what was interesting, I don't know if you noticed, and this is where I know that they wanted you to perceive her as an Andromedan, but as a gray, and give you an image of a gray, because he put these antihistamine cream after they kidnapped her, brought her back to his home. He attempted to shave, when he shaved off her head, he attempted to put antihistamine all over her body. Do you remember why he did that? Let's see who watched the movie. Do you remember? No, I don't see anyone answering. Yes, no? The chat just stopped, or is it just me? Okay, you guys got it. To lessen the frequency. Okay, you got it. Okay. Yes, it actually was like the whatever frequencies were on her, it would distort it. And again, this let me know whoever wrote this movie has an awareness of not only of the functionality of an Andromedan, the frequencies that she emits. And I'll stop right here. I'm going to go into the movies, but I'm going to tell you why I know this. Because when they send CIA or FBI to try to co-opt a Andromedan and try to interface with her, as I know personally, they will make sure that the males do not have any sexual or any interface with the Andromedan, because they feel like once that male comes in physical contact with the Andromedan and has any sort of sexual interface with her, his mind will literally be gone. That's how strong the Andromedans pull on the common human male is. So a lot of times when you have these Andromedan seeds that are pockets of them all over the place, if they send FBI and CIA agents to them to try to send plants to them, they will make sure that the males have no sexual interface with them at all. That is the number one thing. It is documented. It is required that they refrain from doing anything sexual with the women, because they know that once that agent has any sexual interface with her, he is basically a dud. Like he's done. Like he's literally compromised. Okay. So that's another reason why they put the antihistamine. But you know, what's interesting, because they put the antihistamine on her, but I noticed that antihistamine, the fact that it made her look gray, the fact that when they put this cream all over her skin, her body, her entire body, it made her look like a gray. She didn't have any lips, right? She's very lipless. Grays don't have lips. Grays have very bulbous kind of look to, like almost like a bell-shaped face. Okay, bold, kind of bigger eyes. when they put the cream on her, she had a very gray-like look. And then in my mind, I was like, ding, 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 ding. They're trying to literally co-opt. It's like whitewashing. It's like taking over an image of ancient Kemetics and then trying to, bleach the imagery on the walls of Kemet, bleach the skin on because if it was darker color, dark brown, they would bleach the actual monuments, the depictions of the actual, deities that lived there, whether it was the pharaohs, whoever, they would bleach it. It's the same thing with this movie. What I saw them do right away was change the imagery of Andromedans, change them by giving you an image that looked like a gray, even though he did that to her, right? It wasn't a natural look. And then keep calling her an Andromedan because your subconscious is going to pick that up and make you think that that's what Andromedan looks like. Your subconscious is going to put that in the back of your head and then basically make you feel like that would be the depiction of the Andromedans. Really good. I mean, I thought, wow, they're really trying to co-opt it. They're taking over. It's not whitewashing. It's gray washing. They gray washed the Andromedan. Okay? Because she looked like a gray. And they made sure they kept her looking like that. It didn't really change. They kept that cream on her. And that was purposefully done. Good job, Deros. Good job. Okay? So as we fast forward, they took her over. You think the man is crazy. She convinces him. I mean, it's a very dark movie. I don't want to get too much into the details of the movie, but what they're doing is taking over an ideology that does exist, a group of beings that is interfacing and is present on this planet, and they're taking over and lets you know that for this movie to come out right now, they know that the Andromedans are here in full mode. They don't want you to listen, because even when I came on, y'all, the first thing when I did, I make the video to come on and make the video to come on here. What they do, they wouldn't let me put the face of the begonia gray woman, right? They stop me and then they mess with my live. Usually when I'm off, they don't really care. I always feel like when I'm not really hitting the spot, when I'm not really hitting that right angle, they don't really mess with the video. The fact that they did that so quick, so fast, let me know that I was right over the target. Okay, because you didn't expect another one, an Andromedan, to watch it. You didn't think I could make it through. You didn't think I could muster the frequencies that you were posting in there to make anyone who has Andromedan in them stay away from the movie, because it was there. But I remember, I'm resistant and resilient. I'm about that life. So I made it through the movie, even though it was making me nauseous and sick. So I'm watching the movie, and now you find out, you think the man is crazy. You think that he's lost his mind. That's another way to demonize people from the UFO community, make us look like we're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, always promoting that we look crazy, that we're always making up stuff in our head, that this is our imagination. But it gets good, because if you are able to muster watching this really dark, low vibrational frequency assault movie, you get to the end where it matters the most. Okay? So the poor young man kills himself. It's so sad because he wants her to take him to her home ship. And it makes the Andromedans look like they're cold-hearted bitches. Excuse my language. No, I'm sorry. Little ones, I didn't mean to say that. You understand, right? It makes them look like Andromedans have no emotions. They don't care. They will just hurt people. They'll lie. Remember, that's the Deros. That's what I'm saying. They're co-opting behavior. They're taking over the answers of the Andromedans. They're just like they did to the Indians. Oh, they're savages. Oh, they're scalping people. Oh, they're going around terrible. They're savages. They have no, even though they never had diseases, even though they weren't harming their neighbors, even though they tend to take in other tribe members and just transverse them into their tribes. But this is the way that they do this. They demonize people. So when you're looking at this Andromedan gray looking being, she's cold-hearted. She's telling this young man all these things. She's lying to him. That's a Deros quality. See, the grays do that. That's not an Andromedan quality. That's a gray quality. But they have this gray looking being that's cosplaying herself as an Andromedan, and she's making males hurt and kill themselves. The most sensitive, the sweetest, because that young man who was cognitively challenged, he was a sweetheart. You felt for him. You felt sorry for him. So they already are pulling on your heartstrings, making you feel soft for making you soft for seeing him being so affected by it emotionally, how he felt bad for the Andromedan. And look how demonistic the Andromedan treated him. How she sat there and basically baited him and gaslit him until he shot himself in the face. Do you see what I'm saying? That's how you know who wrote the movie and who intended to make that image of the Andromedans. Okay? Remember, that's not an Andromedan. That is a cosplaying gray written by Deros to make you think that Andromedans would do that. Andromedans are built like that. They have no necessity to hurt the weakest on the planet, to hurt a very harmless being that did nothing to her. Okay? So after you see that, you think that the guy who had it, you think the guy is crazy, who, is concocted this whole story that this woman's an Andromedan. Even to the end of the movie, you're like, oh my God, he's probably mad. Like he's making this up. And then needless to say, she convinces him, because that's what they want you to think the Andromedans do, is that not only did his ailing mother who's in a hospital, the one who was the older cousin, he had an ailing mother in the hospital, who was, you see flashes of her having contact of some sort, which we can't really verify, but thinking that she might be a contactee, which Andromedans don't hurt their sea stars. They wouldn't ever hurt their sisterhood. They have the kind of loyalty that doesn't exist on this planet. So they give you a notion that the woman who is the older cousin's mother has had contact and has nefarious things done to her, and that she warns him that they're here, and that's where he gets all this ideology of the Andromedans comes from. So now they already give you this image that the Andromedans are doing harmful, not contactee kind of behavior, more so like abductee behavior, sticking pins in you, doing, making you get ill, getting sick. See this undertone that they're building about the Andromedans? Even though it's not an Andromedan, you're watching a movie. So your subconscious is looking at a gray, perceiving that to be an Andromedan, making it seem like this female Andromedan would do harm to innocent folk on the planet. That isn't what the Andromedans are here to do. If they wanted to do that, they would have done those things many times before. That's a gray issue. That's a reptilian kind of behavior. That's a Deros behavior. Okay. So now we're going further into this man's psyche. According to them, this Andromedan, who is cosplaying an Andromedan, has convinced the man to take antifreeze to his ailing mother's bed, who is dying and in a coma, who he perceives the Andromedan to be the reason why she's in that coma. This gray, cosplaying as an Andromedan, convinces this man to go and put antifreeze as an antidote to wake his mother up, and put it inside of her IV to wake her up from her coma. And you can imagine what happens, y'all. What happens to that young man's mother when he doesn't have the critical thinking skills, and he's listening to a being that he perceives to be an enemy to the planet, and he goes and listens to them and goes and puts antifreeze inside of his mother's IV bag. She dies. He freaks out. He looks crazy. He's got blood all over himself because he was holding his cousin. The movie is so dark, y'all. That's what I'm saying. Like, even when you're watching the movie and you're not an Andromeda, it's just a dark movie. And again, you get a negative feeling when it comes to the Andromedan. You have this ailing feeling that the Andromedans are negative. They're heartless women. They go around harming, special needs children. They go and harm, women that are in hospice. These are the kind of heartless beings they are. This is what they're building, even though you're thinking that she's not an Andromedan, but she's being called that all the time. She looks like a gray, so it's messing with your mind. Comes back, and the Andromedan, because she's cosplaying that, then finds a room, because she's able to break free from the chains of the hostage situation that this very disturbed young man who does have some knowledge about the Andromedans being here that he has in his back room, which shows a laboratory of heinous experiments and decapitation and organs and hands that are, looks like it's in jars with formaldehyde that he's saving, okay, that he has in this kind of storage. And she's looking at it and she's actually reading notes of star systems in a time frame. Now, mind you, I forgot to tell you, in this movie, there's a specific date. Is it an eclipse? Is it an eclipse, y'all? Is it a full moon? Is it a full moon? What is it, y'all? Who remembers? Is it eclipse or is it a full moon, y'all? Does anyone remember? I think it was an eclipse, was it? Certain phase of moon, right? A solar eclipse, right? Was it? Okay, it was a solar eclipse. Okay. It was denoted that during this eclipse, whatever eclipse it was, right? That it was the closest time frame, or the way that the planet was set is that it's the one time the Andromedan system or their ship is close enough where they're going to have contact with the Andromedan that he perceives that he's kidnapped. Okay, so he's on a time frame, like he's on that clock. Okay, so all this is happening. I didn't give you everything in the movie. You can kind of watch it, but you'll see what I'm saying. During this movie, you've got this very low vibrational thing. You see the Andromedan, the one who's perceived as cosplaying the Andromedan. She finds this room when she escapes while the man is going and killing his mother with antifreeze because the Andromedan convinced him to do so, right? He's in this room and she sees a laboratory of heads cut off and notes about when the ship is coming, all this information regarding the Andromedan, like really just very descriptive, very palatable information connected to the Andromedans. So when he comes back to the house after he's gonna kill the Andromedan that just convinced him to go and kill his mother because he didn't have the common sense and critical thinking skills to think that if this person you deem is evil to the planet, that they would tell you that you could save your mother and give you the antidote to do so. I mean, it's classic. Low mind behavior. So then we have this interface when he comes back. He's about to kill the Andromedan. She's in the room. She's found out that he's beheaded all these people. He has all these notes, and she basically confesses to being an Andromedan. Okay, she confesses that they are there to do certain experimentation. There were a lot of things that were done to humans to try to make them better, and they weren't better. They didn't get better. She gave a whole spiel. I don't know verbatim, but basically saying we were here to try to fix you because you're very savage. You're very low vibrational. We're trying to fix you by doing things through genealogy to uplift you, to make you get out of those habits, and it's not working. And then she basically told him that their people cannot be helped. And he told her, she asked how many Andromedans he had found out of all those people he beheaded, killed, and was saving the pieces of their body parts in that room, that laboratory he had in his basement. And I think he said two were Andromedans. Okay. That there's more to this. He electrocuted her. There's more to this whole story, but I'm giving you the fast pass because I'm going to talk about how this movie was purposefully set up. And it was basically a smoky mirror, or like a bait and switch to make you perceive Andromedans in a negative way. So here we have this interface with this man who looks delusional. He looks absolutely insane. But now you realize in the movie, he was absolutely correct that this was an extraterrestrial who he thought he had. She was an Andromedan. She proves it by declaring it, talking about it. And now he makes her take him to her place where she was going to go to her home planet or her home ship, and take her to where she was going to be able to go on her planet, go on her ship. Okay. Needless to say, they get to her office space. She tells them that I'm putting codes in my calculator. Now, y'all, as I'm talking about this, let me just say this, right? Realize that in this entirety of the movie, they are spoofing and disrespecting people who know that there's interdimensionals, extraterrestrials, and inter-Earth beings. They're basically spoofing them by making fun of them, making them feel like they're making him look so just low vibrational, so gullible, so just not really mentally well. They just make people who come from our genre look crazy. So even if someone's not from this genre, could you imagine how they perceive people with this socially engineered movie to make them perceive that everyone who's who talks about UFOs or intergalactics, that we're all insane? We're all like cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Okay, the movie was intended to do that. Even though it's telling you that it's true at the end, it's already in your subconscious that he's out of his mind. He kills his mother, his cousin's dead, like he killed the cop who was there, who was a friend who molested him when he was a child. It was like so low vibrational, but it's making it's making normal people who are not part of our sector think that we're absolutely insane, that we absolutely are so dumb, that we're so reckless, that we will hurt our family members just for our belief system. That's all in the wiring of the movie, the social engineering of the movie. You could feel it. And then at the end, she takes him to her office. Remember, they're on a time frame where the ship is going to be in close proximity. I actually think that 3i Atlas is what they're talking about. Because remember, you don't hear anything about 3i Atlas. I actually think that 3i Atlas was the concept, and I talked about us being part of a separate Earth and the Earth splitting. And remember, Earth itself, the real Nibiru, the real Planet X, the real Earth is actually a ship. So even though we say it's a planetoid, a lot of times when you talk about planets, a lot of times the planets that we speak about that are intergalactic are ships, okay, that look like planets, okay? So as we go forward, she brings her to her office. This office, she's disappeared. People are looking for her. She walks in the office place. She brings him in there. She says that I have to put the coordinates and in my calculator. And you have to go in my closet because that's how I can beam you up. It's crazy, y'all. That's what I'm saying. It's the movie itself was brilliant in spoofing us Andromedans and making everyone think that anyone from the UFO community is insane and nuts and very reckless and dangerous. And then also giving, again, grace, spotlight, and giving them credence for things that they have no accreditation for. Okay? Goes in the closet. She tells him, listen, he's got bombs on him. She says, go in the closet, then I'll beam you up. He believes her. Again, making someone who believes in extraterrestrials, making them seem like they're so gullible and stupid that they will listen to someone who basically said there's no hope for humanity. Saying, after she told him, you're an idiot for killing your own mother, listening to me. He then believes this woman, thinking that a basic bomb on his body is palatable to deal with an Andromedan who's coming from a whole other solar system, that anything he could do earthwise could affect her and would convince her to do something different than she would ordinarily do. So anyway, he goes in a closet. She has a calculator with what looks like just gibberish numbers, and he blows up in the closet. When he blows up in the closet, she goes in, everybody comes in, they're cheering her on. These are regular NPCs that think that this is just a CEO that saved their life, was brilliant enough to get rid of her kidnappers. And you see her go in the back of an ambulance. She looks like she's damaged. Her leg is hurt. The ambulance person is talking to her. And guess what? Because she's on that clock. Okay. As soon as she knows that she's out of the way, she jumps out. This is a person who's supposedly harmed. She jumps out of the ambulance, runs back to her office. The same closet she told that man to go into that would beam him up to her ship is the same way that she got in the closet and actually uploaded herself out of the Earth simulation. And she walks out of plasma. Now we're going to stop here, right? Are you guys with me? Because I know I'm talking about this. I know it seems like I'm just reverberating something. I'm making points. I just have to give you where I'm getting this from. Now, if you remember in the movie Matrix, when Neo wakes up, what does he wake up out of? A pod, right? And in that pod is what? Plasma. In Poltergeist, when Carol Ann is stuck in the closet and her mother goes gets her, right? To go save her inside of the other dimension where she's stuck, where she's with these beings that are like incarnates or non-corporeal beings, and she has to get her daughter out. Where she comes through the ceiling, she comes through plasma. I always told you, plasma in, plasma out. The only way you come into this world, all of these mud flood people, all of these cabbage patch people, these hybridized beings, these incarnates, non-corporeals that take over human cloning forms, those are not natural beings. They don't have a necessity of coming through plasma because they're not organic. You see this woman, the CEO, who now acknowledges she's an Andromedan. I told you she's a cosplayer because she's really a gray. They want you to perceive her as an Andromedan. And guess what she does? When she goes in the closet and she beams up to her ship. Guess what? When she beams up to her ship, she walks through. She comes out of water, a body of plasma. You ever watch Ghostbusters? Ghostbusters. What do they have? They have what is it called? Ectoplasma. Remember the green guy? He was like slime. He was always sliming people when he went a hot dog going through New York reckless. Remember the sea under New York City and Ghostbusters? And what was that? Plasma. She walks out of plasma. When she comes to her world, who do you see? Who do you see, y'all? I told you what the Andromedans look like. They're a bunch of melanated, coiled women's hair. No one said that to you on UFO communities. No one has told you that. Why in the movie do they show that, but they add men to it and others? But they tell you who the Andromedans are because when she walks through the plasma onto that ship, you see the coiled hair, melanated women. That is the Andromedans. Even in their outfits, their outfits, you see coils because they can't tell you that is part of their hierarchy. So they have woven outfits on them, real bulky. It makes them seem fat because they want you to see the Andromedans as fat and bulky and bulbous, but they're subconsciously telling you that the Andromedans are full of coils because that's how their hair is. So when you come out and you see this woman who looks like a gray, this is what they love to do. They bring a gray onto a ship, making her cosplay like she's Andromedan. Why didn't she look like all the others? And why did they call her an emperor when there's no women in that group? There's no men, I'm sorry. There's no men. Why did they keep saying, take me to your emperor? You see when they're making you feel like it's all male dominated? They want you to think it's all males that are there. The Andromedans aren't males, y'all. They are a totally matriarchal society. They haven't any requirement of males. They keep telling you over and over, take me to your emperor. That was pissing me off because the Andromedans don't have an emperor. They would have an empress. When she walks out of the plasma, she walks on a ship and you see these big coiled hair beings. The first one you see are the real depictions of Andromedans, y'all. How come in other movies they don't show aliens looking brown? But the Andromedans are. Coiled haired women, beings that are very Amazonian looking. They put these costumes on top of them to make you think of them as fat, like chunky, thick, right? To make you see them in a certain way. And then they put their leader as a cosplaying gray. Okay? And what did she have to put on her head when she got there? She had to put a coiled hat on her head because she didn't have any hair. Y'all, they co-opted the movie. They had cosplayed. They put a gray cosplaying in Andromedans. They tried to disrespect us. I'm telling you that movie was literally a co-opting of who and what the Andromedans are, putting spots of truth in there, layered with a whole bunch of gray lies and Deros lies. and then making them seem like they are the most cold-hearted, ruthless women who would basically kill off a whole society by popping the dome and killing all of humanity. Now, what I will say is, when you notice, there's many types of grays, and we can get into that. We're talking about a specific gray. I just said they made her look like a gray while she's cosplaying an Andromedan. But what is interesting about this is many times you hear me reference a movie that was made many years ago. I think Delmache's brother actually confirmed that he saw it as well. Few people saw it originally, others didn't. They saw it on Cosmic Slop, which was not the original way that the show was depicted, where it was what platform it was on. On this, it shows, and I'm going to show you because I'm cooking. On this on this other side, you see a movie. It was Outer Limits, where they had Benson. I forgot his name. He was a colonel. Played a colonel on this Outer Limits show in the 80s. And I saw it as a young girl and then later older. And Delmache's brother confirmed because he saw it as well. Most people never saw the last scene because they took it out. In this last scene of the Andromedan Bugonia, they show the scene, but they flipped it. They didn't show it like they were supposed to, the scene that they took out of the original scene with Benson, when they gathered all the melanated people on the planet. Do you remember this? I talk about this all the time. They gathered, there was aliens that came. They said, hey, we need all your melanated people. We want all of them. And then we'll give you technology and we'll give you resources if you give us all your Black people. Do you remember that movie? I talked about it. Kay remembers because I talk about it. People told me I was a liar. They said, no, the last scene didn't exist. But in this movie, I'll fast forward this show on Outer Limits, it showed Benson saying, no, they'll never do that. Why would they take all the brown people? They would never sell us out. Well, needless to say, they would. Okay. For technology, why wouldn't you get rid of all your Negroes? You hate them anyway. You mistreat them, you talk about them, you take their organs, you rape them, you disembowel them, you take over, you cosplay their indigenous status and steal their land. Why wouldn't you get rid of them? So you don't have to constantly look at a group of people that you literally hate, but you want to be. You could get rid of them in one shot. So in the movie, it depicts that. They get rid of these brown people beautifully, get them off the planet. People don't believe it. It was off the chain. Everyone's getting on the ship. Benson, the last thing, they beam him up. In the movie, they show when they take every single brown person and take it to the end, they literally upload them. Benson was the last one on the ship. And as soon as he got on the ship and the ship zoomed out of the atmosphere, there was a countdown. Many of you didn't see it if you saw Cosmic Slop because they took that last scene out. During that last scene, there was a countdown, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And after they left, they blew up the planet. Now, many of you didn't see it. Many of you told me it doesn't exist. There were quite a few people who did witness it, including one of our sea stars and her brother, who confirmed he saw that. Okay? Now, why do I liken it to this Bugonia? Because in Bugonia, they made it seem like the Andromedans would do that to all of humanity. That wouldn't be the case. They showed at the end that the cosplaying Andromedan, which is really a gray, popped the dome and killed all of humanity in one shot. They won't show you the scene of the brown people being taken off planet and the whole planet blowing up, but they will show you a cosplaying gray popping the bubble, cosplaying an Andromedan doing it. I don't know if you're following me. Do you kind of understand what I'm saying? How they socially condition you to see certain things. They don't want you to see from certain angles. So they basically will flip it and put it on another angle that you'll accept. Most people wouldn't accept the fact that brown people have been taken off the earth. And when all of them were taking off, the earth was destroyed, right? But you accept a gray cosplaying an Andromedan, her doing it is okay. And it's everybody across the board, whether they're good or bad. What I will say to this entire movie, Bugonia, was a attack on Andromedans. It was a socially conditioning movie that was to spoof to mislead and to co-opt who and what the Andromedans are. I would ask that anyone who has that or is connected to them be very careful watching the movie, because at the end of the movie, when everyone was going down, there's a light frequency with blue and red that plays that causes headaches, nausea, and other conditions to those who are connected to the Andromedans. I would be very careful watching the last scenes after the gray Andromedan pops the dome, which all the people on the planet die. And when you see that, there's a flashing of lights when it shows all these different arenas where people are dead, just dropped in the street. Absolutely unacceptable. I'm here to tell you that that was a complete a total lie of who and what the Andromedans are. I'm here to tell you that that was purposefully created because at this particular time where the planet is being separated and the separation is happening from those who are hyper materialistic, very low vibrational, that has nothing to do with the Andromedans and anything to do with grays. That is a natural process that happens when people get to a certain point in their evolutionary process where the Earth, which we perceive to be the old Earth and the new Earth, separate. And that separation is based on frequencies and resonance of your consciousness. So I just want to leave you there. I know I was long-winded. I know this video is not for everyone, but I just want to give a warning to those who are connected to the Andromedans and to let you know that please do not believe your Willy Wonka depicting Andromedans in any which way. They got it right in one scene, but they spoofed it in all other scenes. They're trying to mislead you and make you think that they are something that they aren't. The only psychopaths and maniacs and sociopaths are the humans that were created from these grays and reptilians and other nefarious beings that are here, that are in cahoots with your government system. Those are the only beings that would do evil, malicious things to their people. Okay? Anyway, y'all. So I got to go. I know I went on a rant, but I will be back. So I just want to talk about that, do a little rant today. I hope that was okay. I do apologize if you get offended, but, I am not a politically correct channel, as you know. Okay. I speak my mind and my mind speaks. I like to speak it freely. Okay. While we still can. All right. So let me know what you think about the movie. Let me know how you feel. Let me know how you felt frequency wise. I only think that it's going to affect the Andromedans, anyone connected to the Andromedans. I don't think it affects everybody. Not everyone has a genetic connection to the Andromedans, so I don't think that they would have that feeling. But I definitely know it was an assault on those of us who have the genealogy of them. So let me know. Again, I will be back tomorrow with a special guest again, my favorite guest, and we will be discussing something else galactic. So you can make a guess on who that is. I don't like to announce my guests because there's like weirdos that are online and they have a weird kind of like obsession. I don't know what it is. It's like some weird, like, I don't know. They're just weird. I mean, my sector brings in weirdos, but it's like really weird. So I'll have my special guest on tomorrow. So hopefully you'll see me at roughly like 9 p.m. Eastern. So we'll be discussing other galactic things. So I hope you join me then, and do enjoy your evening. Again, let me know what you think about the movie. Let me know how you feel. Did you feel like it was connected to that? Do you think I'm drawing straws? Do you feel like I'm drawing too much into it? Did you feel connected to did you feel the frequencies? Let me know how you felt about the movies. Let me know your opinion. I'm always open to it. Don't think that you can't. Just be respectful. Again, if you don't agree with what I say, you don't have to. I'm not looking for a cheerleader. I like for people to share their own opinions about what we discuss as well. Okay. So thank you, everybody. I will talk to you and I will see you tomorrow with our special guest. Okay. All right. Peace. Have a good evening. Peace. If I can find the exit. Hold on.